Hello, I want to welcome everybody back to the 4th episode of the Black FacTours. Let's welcome my co-host, Jamal.
Namaste.
I'm sorry, I wasn't ready for that.
I just wanted to try something different with you guys.
Hi.
Esquire.
And I am Kat. So can you tell me what
Hold on. Cat tails.
Cat tails. I do have a lot of tails. Can you tell me what is happening this week?
Okay, so what I saw happening this week is 9. Counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Students, high school students to be exact, are charged with murder after a fight. This is in Augusta, Georgia.
That's correct.
Okay, and it's a fight that stems from school, but after school, big brawl and
like we all witnessed.
Yeah,
but now they're killing people.
Yeah, now they're killing people. So a student is dead, and 9 have been charged with murder. Mm-hmm. My question to you guys is: do you think that these students should be charged as adults? Do you think it's right to charge them with murder after a brawl where everybody's a willing participant?
Oh, that's tough.
It really is. I think we all know and believe that the criminal justice system in this country, when it's looking at black faces, is really unfair. Historically, it's been like that. Charging teens as adults is hard, but just looking at the facts of this, there was a massive fight or brawl, which ended with a stabbing which led to the death of one of the participants. I totally understand.
I think that was it premeditated or was it so? When we were growing up, I don't know how many fights you guys were in, but group fights stemmed from whatever issues, and they happened, but it wasn't necessarily a premeditated fight. It was just a big fight.
Now, this, you got to look at it as premeditated because, remember, it's something that stemmed from school. But after school, they all linked up and, got it on. And you actually had a mother that actually drove her child to the fight.
Now, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
The person who did the stabbing, allegedly, Demetrius Harris Jr., he's 21.
Wow.
Oh,
okay,
wow.
So
now makes things,
that
puts
changes.
things in perspective.
Absolutely.
Why are you fighting kids and you're 21, man?
You trying to be like Cat Williams? Role model.
He said it, not me.
Oh, Cat.
Sad situation. Child lost their life.
Fight started over a boy between two girls, and it escalated where people started picking sides, and
insane.
There was a brawl,
and somebody's mama drove them to the fight. Yeah. Said, I'm going to take you so that you can participate in
they
the
should
fight.
Absolutely be charged with something. Like,
I'm not going to say, no, you're going to stay your ass in the house.
Right.
I'm going to take you so that you can participate in this group fight.
Now, what I don't know is the one who drove their child, were they actually the victim? Was their child the victim?
I don't know.
Or that's what it's not a lot of details that they...
Yeah. So, but, back in the day... it used to be parents would send, if a kid came in the house crying because they got in a fight, a parent, to toughen them up.
Right.
In certain neighborhoods, a parent would say, no, you don't come in here crying. You go back out there and you fight your fight. How is this any different?
Because they don't send them out to a brawl where it's massive people that you're going to fight that's something you up.
Got you.
I mean, it's almost like a gang initiation. You going to fight 9+ people.
Where does this mentality come from? Where?
That put me on the spot. A lot of it has to do with culture. I hate to say it, don't be mad at me, guys. Almost the music that the kids listen, that we listen to, I think it has a big influence.
I'm not mad at you. You know how I feel.
I think it has a big influence. I mean, music is the only thing that subconsciously enters the brain, and there's nothing you can do about it. So,
except for not listening.
Now,
but if you do listen,
and that's where I was going to go with it, because if you say music is a big trigger, then remember, we choose what we listen to. So is it really that big of a trigger if we're choosing to listen to that?
It does if you only get 4 or 5 songs to listen to, and all 4 or 5 songs.
Right.
Or you want to be cool and listen to what your friends listen to, and if it's just 4 or 5 songs with the same message, not necessarily murder, murder, kill, kill, but I mean sex and drugs, you're going to embody that some way.
The thing about music is that you internalize it and you don't even realize it. Like you know what I mean? The messages that the music is giving off, you're internalizing. You might say, "Oh, I just like the beat," but you know, if the beat says kill, 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 drugs, drug, drugs, you know, you're more likely to, when you're put in that situation, to be immune to it.
And I agree. However, I do believe that you're already there if you're choosing to listen to that music.
I disagree. Because if you're in middle school or 10, 10 years old, and your peers or your older sister, your older brother, your older cousin is listening to this, you're becoming immune to it at 8 years old. You're not there at 8 years old.
Right. True.
You're not there. Yeah. But this is what you're hearing. These are the messages that you're receiving at 10, 12, even 15 years old. When you're talking about like sex and things like that, you're not there. But those are the messages that you're getting. It's okay.
But in that instance, I still wouldn't put it on the music, because now you're getting to the culture, the environment that you're growing up in. So you're there technically with that environment. Because if you're listening to that music 9 times out of 10, you come from a low income environment.
No.
I think you do.
No. Like, the consumers of like hip hop and these types of, and other things, it's not low income.
Are white.
Right. It's not low income people who are.
I think that's what we've been told over and over again for years. But
I think you're looking at the huge, big selling, but you're not looking at the regular average trap rapper that's not selling tens of millions of records.
But they're not. I mean, the kids aren't listening to that.
They are.
Where are they getting it from?
That's
it's not on the radio. It's not, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not.
Because now everything you can get through social media, you can get through internet.
That's true.
You got sites where you could download for free.
Right.
So I just think that most of these kids that are, like, for example, the kids that are being arrested, I think it's in their environment. That environment is all the way around them. It's nothing that they had to listen to get that in them. I think they grew up around that type of culture.
I disagree.
Oh, we're going to fight. Oh, then I'm coming with you. I'm going to bring my boys. Yeah, we're going to beat that because he did this to you and she took your man, and this is...
I disagree, because these are the same fights that, that we got into when I was growing up. It didn't escalate to, we got into fights about this thing, and it wasn't in my, it wasn't in my environment. I didn't listen to it, to the music, but it was just a natural part of growing up.
Right. And so that's why I say I don't feel like you could put music on it, because it happened in our time, but
we weren't killing people. That's where where it becomes normalized in the the violent music and things like that.
Because we were getting into whether it was premeditated or not.
Right.
I don't know the circumstances with that, but I doubt that it was premeditated. I just think when you're talking about that big of a brawl, bad things can happen. And
That's true.
Unsupervised.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't. It's tough to. For me, I can never look at the music and say it's just the music, because you got so much forms of entertainment, like movies, and if people watch gangster movies, and gangster movies are the visual, like you can get, okay, this is what it looks like when you kill somebody. Now it's not official because it's movie and it's make believe, but people sit there and they be like, oh yeah, that look cool, and want to go out and do that. But comparing that to music, to me, I just can't.
Well, the way that I see it is that if you listen to a certain type of music, you probably watch a certain type of movie, and you probably play a certain type of video game. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
but see, look,
it's not.
You should look at me as the epitome of the opposite of your argument. Because when you listen at some,
you don't watch gangster movies.
Yeah, but I'm not a gangster. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And by no way, shape, or form have you seen me act like a gangster.
But I think it goes back to, we'll take addiction.
Mm-hmm.
If you have 1,000 people in a room, we'll use alcohol. Mm-hmm. We all drink the same. We all drink an alcoholic beverage a day, the same beverage. Mm-hmm. Always say 10% will be addicted. 80% will become addicted. 80% of people will just live their life, and 10% will either have no effect or they just probably will stop drinking.
Right.
And it's probably the same with music. It's just a certain subset going to be very, very influenced by the things they see around.
I can see that. I can see that.
So as far as, you think it's more so just the hip hop or just music in general? Because
music,
you have
music in general. I don't want to stereotype.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hip hop, because it's head banging, hardcore rock music that's saying the same.
But just for,
and then you have like the music that promotes racism and violence and stuff like that.
Right,
and so I think that, you know, there's going to be certain people who can listen to that and still not practice racist
to bring
actions.
But full circle for those kids specifically, because I think you were saying initially that it just the culture and a lot of it from time to time stems from the music. Do you think for them specifically it might come from what they listen to on a day-to-day basis?
I think it's a little bit of everything. Music, probably the family structure.
Definitely
peers.
Family structure with the mother taking.
Yeah, with the mother taking you to the because I don't necessarily think it's music. I think that this is a rite of passage that kids go through. You know, kids get into big group fights.
Correct.
It happens everywhere. I don't care.
Now,
you know what I mean? The escalation is different.
But see, for you, it might be a little different than it is for me, because it was a lot of fights growing up, but I don't remember massive brawls like it is today. Like, you turn on World Star or really go on YouTube and you can pull up massive brawls like it's nothing. Like, I've never seen that type of.
You were lucky.
That's crazy though. Like,
you were lucky. Yeah, no, they were. It was called jump. You know what I'm saying, jumping. Like, and not only were somebody would get jumped, but then their friends would jump in, and it would just be big, massive. But we didn't have cameras on our. We didn't have cell phones.
Right,
we didn't have cell phones, but we didn't have cameras. You know, that we could. We had dogs that we would sick on people, and then that would break the fights up. You know, but anyway, so. The mindset. Black folks' mindset. Where did it come from?
Slavery.
Yeah, I was going to say, reach back.
I'm just joking.
We still going through.
The mindset.
Was it put on us? Did the government have anything to do with it?
I always say the government. It's the government. I think it's a little bit of
Nixon, maybe. Yeah.
Let's talk about Nixon. Nixon has been passed in 95, 94. Nixon hasn't been in office in close to 40 years. It's Nancy Reagan passed not too long ago. It's been.
Wait, before you go on, was I the only one who thought she was already gone?
You wasn't the only one. I hate to say it.
Nah, not really.
When she died, I was like, she was already gone. Okay. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. I just wanted to know that.
So this weekend, Nixon policy advisor John
Enrlichman.
Okay, so Dan Baum wrote a piece about it. Okay, so he was the journalist, and
But Ehrlichman has come out and said that basically Nixon invented the war on drugs, which a lot of people had some experience with COINTELPRO, and Reagan believed that Reagan pushed these drugs, especially during his time as governor of California, into many black neighborhoods in California, specifically Watts, Compton, South Central Los Angeles, and Oakland, to one stop the Black Power movement as well as hippies in Northern California.
so it started with they introduced the drugs to stop the hippies.
Oh, I've just always
what you're
believed
saying.
it came out all at the same time.
Okay.
All of it
Now-
was introduced.
Because-
Let me read a
because
quote
his-
for it
Okay, go
first.
ahead.
So he says, "We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin,
and
then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities." That's crazy.
I think we should remember blacks with heroin
Right.
before we go on, because we're going to touch on that in a minute.
Preference something.
We're going to touch on that in a minute. But okay, so, and this was the start of what was known as the war on drugs.
Hmm. And just say no.
And just say no. Okay, so let's back. Okay, so Nixon pushed these drugs into black communities.
Now, you know, nobody's sadder or madder than Freeway Ricky Ross.
Explain.
Okay, so
I'm familiar.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
Freeway Ricky Ross
He was
is
a big time drug dealer out of
big time.
Los Angeles.
Absolutely. So, you know, one of the biggest. Now,
What did he deal?
was it heroin?
Crack, I believe.
Oh,
Okay.
It might have been all of it, to be
Yeah.
honest. He was making so much money.
Or it might have been cocaine.
Okay.
So after he got caught up in a sting, he found out that these were being pushed in through Reagan. It was being pumped into.
When he was a governor.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little off on
The
my,
years?
my
Well, no,
knowledge.
I think
Okay.
he started maybe during the 80s, so Reagan would have been president at that
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
But he
Okay.
was governor of California probably when
Nixon
started
pumping it
he was
into the-
probably young when Reagan was governor.
Okay.
And I'm a little rusty on my history, but with the whole Iran Contra, remember when they got caught up in that scandal? So basically, it was like they had it set up to where they can pump it into those communities, so they could kill our people, but at the same time, you know, why it was legal for them to pump it in those communities, so they can, I think, make money for the war.
Or Iran Contra
Yeah.
was about giving guns to one of the South American countries, one of their rebels, to fight the government.
And to do that, they had to do it by selling drugs.
Oh
So they pumped the drugs into LA, flooded the streets, and you know, while a lot of black youth saw that as a quick way to make money,
Yeah.
they didn't know what they was doing, and they got caught up in the system with that. But that's why it was so easy to pick it up, because you know, based on what was going on with that.
So everything that you guys like to say black people are, there's a direct correlation and reason the way that we act. This stuff is really designed for us to be in the situation and predicaments that we are in.
And there is a reason why a lot of right wing people love Reagan. It's a reason. Because they don't want us here.
So okay, let's do a timeline here. Nixon pushed heroin into our communities so that heroin could be associated with black people, right?
Well, to shut down the Black Power movement.
Right, to shut down the Black Power movement. Can you go back to the quote? I just want to read this specific line.
King came along, Malcolm X came along, and really.
So we knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. So, blacks with heroin, and then criminalize them heavily. This was Nixon's advisor. So they got the blacks on heroin in the 70s, let's say. And then here come the 80s.
Whew.
And Reagan said, let's have a war on drugs.
Amazing.
Because the blacks were on heroin. Let's fast forward.
And crack.
Which
ravaged the black community all across the country.
80s, war on drugs. Blacks are hooked on heroin and crack. 2016.
Who's hooked on heroin? 2016.
Oh, I'll let you know. So over the last 10 years, white people have started to like heroin again, and unfortunately, it's quadrupled the number of deaths by heroin across the country.
Middle income white people are dying from heroin overdoses. In the 1980s, heroin was a public safety issue. Now that middle income white people are dying because of heroin, it is a public health issue. Black lives did not and do not matter.
That's correct.
It's amazing.
Because it was not a public health issue
when it was our people.
It is now a public health issue.
30 years ago, 5 grams of crack cocaine
got you where?
A minimum 5-year sentence, which have now flooded the prisons all across the country.
This is real, people. It's not a race issue as far as I'm sorry, it's not a race card. It's not a race card. This is real. These are quotes from policy makers.
Yeah, it's tough to digest. Now, the thing is, it's not tough to digest because, it's unbelievable. It's like we knew it, but now you're actually approving. Like, you're coming out and saying it.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was.
That's what happened.
We wanted the blacks to get hooked on heroin, and we succeeded.
And now we're here where parents are taking their kids to fights.
Yeah.
Anyway. So that brings me to my next point, which is now that we are stressing that Black Lives Matter, there's a subset of people who are saying that whites should not join the Black Lives Matter movement, that they somehow dumb it down and make it not as effective. What thoughts?
Well, before we get into that, somebody actually posted a quote from Malcolm X, and they used that to back their argument. So I want to play the quote for everybody, and then we'll touch on that.
Perfect. Sounds good.
It's just like when you got some coffee that's too black, which means it's too strong. What you do, you integrate it with cream. You make it weak. If you pour too much cream in, you won't even know you ever had coffee. It used to be hot, it becomes cool. It used to be strong, it becomes weak. It used to wake you up, now it'll put you to sleep. This is what they did with the March on Washington. They joined it. They didn't integrate it, they infiltrated it. They joined it, became a part of it, took it over. And as they took it over, it lost its militancy. They ceased to be angry. They ceased to be hot. They ceased to be uncompromising. Why, it even ceased to be a march. It became a picnic, a circus. Nothing but a circus with clowns and all. You had one right here in Detroit. I saw it on television.
Well, how do you feel?
Well,
that was Malcolm X. He
absolutely.
did say that.
Absolutely.
He was funny. It did make me laugh.
Absolutely. Now, anybody that knows Malcolm X knows that was early Malcolm X. Now, I actually believe that the person who posted that quote knows that was early Malcolm X.
Yeah, I feel like that was definitely Malcolm X. Now, after he went, this is before he went to Mecca and, saw it from a different perspective.
It was a little more enlightened.
He became a little bit more enlightened and came back as Malik El-Shabazz or something like that. Yeah, so he came back as Malik El-Shabazz and came back under this umbrella of unity, and everybody, he became more like Martin Luther King Jr. and that, whoever wants to help should be able to. So I don't know why we're still invoking this.
To me, the
Black
people
lives.
that do that are the people that don't want change. It's like, to have change, we all have to be involved in that change. When you segregate a group of people to say, nah, you're not like us, or you can't help us that's so off. Like, we have to all be involved if we want change.
And I also think that it should be, we want people to know that Nixon's and and their policy advisors and the Reagans and what they did, so that so that you can come and you can understand that we're not like this just because we're like this. We weren't born like this.
Right.
This purposely happened. These things purposely happen, and unless your children or you have white quote unquote allies that can say, no, somebody did this to them. I don't know that we ourselves can pull ourselves out completely. I think that we all need help.
Right.
And anyway. Any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. Follow me on Instagram, Hype Esquire. Follow me on YouTube, youtube.com/Hype Esquire. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Hype Esquire.
I'm leaving my job to become a full-time Uber driver, so I'll share my thoughts with you. I have a couple of other things that I want to accomplish in life, so I believe now is the time. So I'm looking forward to this amazing journey. Please find me on Instagram, JRock, the letter N, the letter I, don't stop. JRock and I don't stop. Or Jamal McKee on Facebook, JHAMALMCKEE, or JRock and I don't stop on Twitter.
And that's it for today. A cat once told me, today you are you, that is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you.
Peace.
Peace.